Welcome to the Hawks Talk podcast. All things Blackburn Hawks.
In behind the defence, cuts around, scores! Blackburn Hawks win this game 8 goals to 5.
All the latest news, player interviews and much more.
Shoots, scores!
Hawks Talk.
Well, it is that time again. I hope you've all had a great summer and are ready for some hockey. We are here with a brand new episode of the Hawks Talk podcast. My name is Graham Hamilton. I'm your host as we talk about all things Blackburn Hawks. Coming up, we have a great interview with the Hawks head coach Dominic Osman. But before that, I've got some messages of congratulation and a few things to mention before we get into the podcast. Firstly, I'd like to congratulate Ollie Lomax and Aaron Davis for yet another successful Blackburn Hawks golf day. You both organised a great day, so a shout out to you guys and thank you for letting us sponsor a hole again this year. And secondly, for Ollie, for stepping into the role as interim head coach last season. We all know there were some complications, but credit where it's due. You did a great job and it's good to have you back on the bench this season as assistant coach. Sticking with the Lomaxes, congratulations to Graham Lomax and the Igloos and Bathrooms team who won the Blackburn Hawks annual golf day. We have it on good authority that Graham has no weakness and he plans to defend his title next year. And finally, massive congratulations as well to the Blackburn Hawks D-man Sam Warnock for winning Hawks Talk Guest of the Year last season. We'll definitely have him on the show again this year. Well, our season kicks off on Saturday the 10th of September, away to the Sheffield Scimitars. It's a 7 p.m. face-off in Sheffield for that one. Then the next day, Sunday the 11th, it's our first home game of the season against the Solihull Barons. Tickets will be on sale on the Hawks website from the 1st of September, or alternatively, you can purchase a season ticket now. Right then, let's get into this episode's interview.
Hawks Talk.
Our guest on episode 8 of the Hawks Talk podcast, head coach of the Blackburn Hawks, Dominic Osman. Dom, how are you?
I'm doing very good, thank you.
Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Oh yeah, not a problem. Absolutely.
Now, we had originally planned to do this earlier in the year, but a certain film called Top Gun Maverick was released and then summer got in the way, but we finally got you on.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's been a busy summer for all of us, but yeah, it's just really, it's a pleasure to be here on for you. So yeah.
So besides the hockey prep, what have you been up to this summer?
To be honest with you, just the same old, golfing, spending time with the family. But yeah, a lot of time trying to get the team together. You know, a lot of time on the phones, messages with Ollie, Graham, Carl, Adrian. Just with the team, just trying to get everything sorted and get ready for the season, I guess. So.
Fantastic. We'll start off by talking about your journey so far with the Hawks. Tell us how you became the head coach here in Blackburn.
Well, to be honest with you, it's kind of a funny little story. I mean, my wife and I were sitting around, a few months back and talking about hockey and things like that. And, it kind of fading out of my life a bit and just saying how much I missed it and things. When you sit down and think about it, it just wasn't feasible to get back into it. And then, because I had a weekend job, I was working every weekend. But now that my daughter's 5, I was able to get one of my days back at least. And as soon as that happened, it was kind of funny. I got a text message from a guy I played with a little while back, and I'll keep it anonymous as he doesn't really want to be named. But he just said I was going to get a text message from the guys over at Blackburn, the Hawks. And really, I just asked him what it was about. And, he just said, well, just talk to him, this and that and see where things go. Because he was asking if I was in the game or if I was thinking about it and this and that. And so I got the message, went ahead and heard him out, just through text message. I think it was Graham at first. And we set up a meeting for that weekend, funny enough. And then, went out to meet with Graham, Carl, and Ollie. And, when we sat down, They had said they met with a few people and they just kind of asked where I could see things going. And I kind of laid out a little bit of a plan that I would, the route that I would take.
Yeah.
And I guess it kind of aligned with what they were looking for. So, we basically shook hands right then and there before I left, and came home, discussed it with my wife, and she was really supportive. She always has been. She knows it's been a part of my life, and it's kind of been on the back burner for quite a few years now. We said, let's just give it a shot. Let's see what happens. And as soon as we did, it was kind of like the first few days of it. It was like I've always been there, and the support that I've had from Graham, from Carl, from Ollie, the rest of the team over in Blackburn has just been absolutely amazing. And I can't thank them enough. So yeah.
What did you know about the Hawks before you joined the club?
I knew that they were in the NHL one. When I was with Shane and the Pirates and things like that, when our league folded, I know that the leagues kind of conjoined up, and the Pirates played against them. But that's really all I knew about it. I didn't know the history. I didn't know. I had no idea when I met Graham, Carl, and Ollie. I could swear that they've owned the team forever, and it was just everything was straightforward. It was as professional as can be, and that's what kind of steered me towards it. It wasn't just it's a chance, let's go. I wanted to make sure it was going to fit. Wanted to make sure it was going to fit with work too as well, and my managing director Paul, he's been really supportive of it too as well. And like I said, it was just I didn't really know much about Blackburn until I went to the rink and I saw, wow, I said, these guys have been around for a while. So and that was pretty much it. That's all I really knew about it.
You're also joined on the bench by Ollie Lomax and Steve Hurst. How have you found working with those two so far?
I feel like I've been working with those guys forever. Again, Ollie and I, we hit it off in the coaches meet or in the management meeting, really, to be honest. After that, Ollie was great. I mean, he, made player profiles and, those types of things to help me kind of, see what we had and, what was leaving, what was coming back, what wanted to come back, who wanted to go, who needed a change, who to try to get to stick around. And those were the types of things that Ollie did for me that really kind of, I guess, made me feel a little bit comfortable, while trying to take a look to see, okay, well, how are we gonna do this? Because, it was a clean slate. And we knew what we wanted to do, but we also knew that our team was going to have a different look this year. And like I said, working with Ollie when I first met him, it was great. I mean, we're on the phone quite a bit during the week together. And then meeting Steve, he's just something else. He's just a great guy. And he'll do anything, absolutely anything for the team. And he's been out there, and it's been really, really, really good.
What have you found surprising about the club so far?
The professionalism. For an NHL one team, I know that it's a couple leagues below the elite league, and the way that they actually run it was a lot like Shane ran it with the Pirates, which I will say, when we ran it from the business side of things, it was extremely professional. And with these guys, it was the next level. But I think that was just because technology and everything that we have, and you've got contracts that are digital, and you've got all these spreadsheets and different things and easy ways to guide you on what who's responsible for what. But it's the way that Graham and Carl are looking at wanting to take the organization, and to want to make it stable. Not just to, hey, here's a massive budget, go out and win us cups and this and that. It's not about that, with them. They really do want Blackburn to succeed. And, the amount of sponsors that they've managed to bring on, how they're involved in the community and intertwined now, with the community of Blackburn. That's the part that makes it really special and makes you want to work harder. to bring success to Blackburn.
I mean, we essentially play in what is the third division, if you will, of British ice hockey. And we've always had a bit of a lack of professionalism before Graham and Carl took ownership of the club. I think that's a fair comment to say. So it's good to see you coming in as a newcomer to the club and realising that and seeing it for yourself.
Yeah, like I said, I don't look back. I didn't look back at the history, said, okay, what was it like before? Who is this and who is that? And everybody had opinions. And there were a lot of opinions, and that's okay, and I appreciate that. But I don't think anybody really knew, what was happening from the inside. And what was happening from the inside when I saw it with my own eyes, that's what I believed.
Yeah.
And what I still do truly believe is they do have the best interests at heart, not just for Blackburn and the Hawks and the organization, but the development of players in British ice hockey, because that's something that's it's always struggled, especially at our level. You have the national level, you have the elite league level. And I know a lot of fans and everybody says, oh, the elite league, they don't put development in place. And they don't do this. And well, no offense to anyone, but that's not their job. Their job is to put a business out there, a product on the ice. It's like the NHL. It's like saying, the NHL should be filled with just American hockey players because it's the National Hockey League, right?
Yeah,
it's not like that. And the issue with it here is the development needs to come from the leagues below, but that's also the National League team. They're as well. We're a business. We need to put a good product on the ice, but from our level, we really need to focus on development to try and get kids through to us and then get them moved on to the next level. And the national level is I would say they shouldn't be responsible for development, but I feel like we have a duty to respond to develop hockey players as well as put an exciting product on the ice. And that's, I think, where Graham and Carl both agreed, because if you don't start developing players and helping players from our level, we're not going to have them.
That's true.
Because there's a shortage already. You look at the National League, you look at Matty Davis and Hull, he just put a team in the National League. I can't imagine how hard it was. And we did the same thing when Shane and I brought the Pirates on. I have to give credit to the guys that came to us because they did an unbelievable job our first year. And, but there weren't a lot of players left. We went very young. We went with a lot of younger guys. Our older Brits guys were great, but we just didn't have enough experience. And that's where, when I look at it from our level, I feel like we're on the cusp of that. You've got some older players that are there, which is good. But really, I think we need to start looking at bringing in some of the younger talent. And that's what we targeted this year. And a lot of people said it wouldn't work. A lot of people said, I just don't think you're going to find the players. I don't think that, they're serious about their development and this and that. We've got guys there that are traveling a long way to play for us.
Yeah.
But the best thing about it is Graham and Carl are going to make it feasible for them to do it, with sponsors, hotels, things like that, putting players, doubleheader weekends, putting players together and putting them in hotels. So that way they don't have to drive back and forth. Right. So they only need to make really one or two trips on the weekend instead of four. Come out, get the bus, go back to Blackburn, hit the hotel, have a Sunday home game and then go home. And it's kind of, it's what they do in North America and the States and other countries. And they look after their British talent. And that's what we want to do. And so far it's really worked. Time will tell. We'll see how things go. And, there's quite a few guys that we've got that are going to make the step to this level, but I feel like they're those guys that are ready to start making that step to that next level. And I applaud a couple of the teams that are going that way. Nottingham, Sheffield, just announced that they're going to be going that way. And when you look at the average age of the teams in the league, you've got a few of us that are in the low 20s. You got your teams that are averaging 30 years old and 28 years old, and that's okay. But the question is, how long is that going to last?
Yeah.
Right. And how long are they going to be able to do that for? And that's what we're looking at. We're looking, down the line. We're not looking, okay, we're going to win a cup in September. it's not going to happen. That's not what we're after. What we're after is developing these players and the hockey players that can compete at this level, but also build themselves and hopefully make it to the next. And they have to understand, we joke about it a lot. Me, Graham, Carl, and Ollie. In a bit of a, I spoke, Matty Davis spoke with some of the players in Hull about, training with them and then playing with us and this and that. And we talk about the levels and you can't just jump to the last, ring of the ladder. You need to climb the levels. You need to go from, when you're in the NHL too, and you feel like it's a little bit too easy for you, or you're not getting enough games, you need to try and jump to that. And you can't just jump to the national level. It's not going to happen. The skill level is massive between that.
Yeah.
You need a stone. And that's what we want to become. We want to become the stepping stone to the next level. And I had, great conversations with Martin Grubb, and that was, they've got a great team. And if you look at their average age, it's 24, 25 years old. Well, we're 22 now, and hopefully some of the guys see what we can offer and help in their development. Then all of a sudden, maybe we end up like Solway a couple years down the line.
Well, Solway, they've had the same core group of players for a number of seasons now, and it's proved to work very well for them. In my opinion, I think they could compete in the national level.
And that's the thing, is even their older guys too as well. Their older guys are great. They're mentors. They help the younger guys along, and you got a guy like Martin Grubb at the helm, and that's the thing. Like I said, you never know. I mean, what we're trying to do is we're trying to put something in place in Blackburn where the next kid that is almost ready to make that jump, or is just right there, says, you know what, I want to go to Blackburn, because they're focusing on development. They're focusing on winning, but they're also focusing on development of hockey players. And that's what we're after, and that's what we're trying to create. And like I said, it's one of those things where I applaud the guys that are traveling. I applaud the guys that are going to be doing the late nights. I mean, Thursday nights are tough. I travel an hour and a half. We got guys traveling an hour and 40 minutes. We've got a goalie coming from Fife on the weekends. And that right there shows commitment. And that right there is what's going to move a player to the next level. Not the, well, I want to play, but if I'm not going to get the ice time, I'll just skate down here, play down here, and maybe I'll get there. And there's no good going to the national level and sitting on the bench either. And that's something that, Matty and I always talked about, that Davies from Hull. And that's why we were able to make a connection so quickly. And we've got a couple players that, signed on 2 ways. A couple guys, the younger guys that may not, I mean, it's a long way. It's about 2 hours and 15, 2 hours and 20 minutes to go on a Thursday night. Well, we've got a couple players that are going to be training with them, but playing with us on the weekend. Yeah. And that's what we're looking at doing at the start. A guy who's traveling an hour and a half, is okay. But even if a player said, look, I have an opportunity to train all year long with a National League team, but play for you on the weekend, and he fits in, and we're doing the same thing from the NHL 2 level. So I've got 2 or 3 players taking their spot and training with us, right? But playing down at the NHL 2 level, we've managed to make a lot of relationships in such a short time. And that's what we're trying to do. And that's what's going to help the players develop. But not only that, they're training at a higher level. So when they come in on the weekend for us, they're already at the next level, right? So the trick is going to be to keep them at that level, right? After that first period, they might be a step ahead, but then they might slow down to our level. But we need to make sure that we keep them there. And our guys are doing such a great job because, the guys that are training with us, we're training at a high level because we're pushing the pace of it, right? So, and that's the thing is, I talk to the guys about where we're going and how we're doing things, and they're all on board. And that's what we want. That's what we want in Blackburn, especially our older guys. Our guys that are going to be leaders this year, like Davies, Pollett, Riddock, Warnick, those guys, they will understand the reasoning behind it. And if they're on board, everybody else will jump on board as well. Right. So that's what we're looking at doing. And I think we've built a very, very good, solid, young, fast team with some good older guys too as well.
you've got a nice mix of players looking on elite prospects and things like that in terms of the age ranges. It's very exciting, and I can't wait to see it on the ice personally.
You know what? To be honest with you, it's been great watching these guys. I mean, the effort level and the commitment. When I say commitment level, I mean the attention they give you. Like you can tell that they're really after the knowledge. Like they're trying to soak it up, and it may not be something that they haven't had before. And that's what I'm trying to accomplish as a head coach, is to get them to believe in the system and believe in the progress and to believe in the steps you have to take to get to the next level. Because ultimately that's what I did in my career and all of my buddies and things like that. Like, yeah, I didn't make it to the NHL, but I was pretty damn close. So, the attention they're giving us and the effort that they put in so far, the shape that they've came in, the guys are putting in the work, and that's the best thing. And if we have any success this year, it's going to be because of them. It's going to be because of the work that they put in.
I know some fans have commented on social media on the number of players leaving the club this summer, and I think you've covered a lot of it already. But how did you find building the roster in this off-season? Did you enjoy it, or was it stressful?
It wasn't. I wouldn't say it's stressful. It's fun. To me, it's, I mean, who doesn't want to do things like this? When you get an opportunity as a hobby, especially as a hobby, or taking on something like this. Hockey to me used to be my career, right? But and it's how I made a living. But now it's, I'm not saying it's a hobby in the sense of, well, I just do it when I want to. But who wouldn't want to do something like that? And that's, that's the intense part. The intense part was in the beginning. We've talked to a few guys. We were even guys have committed to us, and they decided they wanted to leave. So, pretty much everybody that was there last year, I approached them. I got their bits about what happened last year and how they felt about last year, explained to them where we're going. And you just never know what you're going to get with guys, because they'll be like, yeah, it sounds great, I want to be a part. And then all of a sudden they're signing somewhere else, which is fine. That's okay. And sometimes they may need a change, and that a change of scenery might help them grow as a hockey player. And all the guys, that I've spoken to, I respect a lot. I do. And, they're going to be good competition. But just because somebody wants to change of scenery doesn't mean that I'm going to beg them to stay. Because I'll tell you now, no offense to anybody that leaves, everybody's replaceable. It does not matter who you are. I don't. And that's the thing, and that's the thing that you have to learn about life as well. It's not.
I was just going to say that's relevant in every part of life, isn't it?
You're replaceable anywhere you go and what you do. So it just doesn't. To me, I wish them the best of luck. It's a shame that they're going to miss out. I think that with everything happening here this year, it is different. They are going to take a bit more of a professional approach. Graham and Carl are the best thing about those two guys is they're willing to listen and hear. They're willing to listen, not just hear you.
Yeah, that's true.
They're not there to just hear you talk. They are listening. And a couple of ideas I've thrown out there. It's like, okay, well, how do we do it? Nothing's impossible. And that's the best thing about them. And they've opened up options for us. We're looking at doing two-way, relationships. I mean, we've got relationship with Kirkcaldy Kestrels now, with the Altrincham Aces, Bradford Bulldogs. We've got the National League teams in Leeds. We've got Hull. At one point I was talking to Keith at Belfast, but, unfortunately there's commitment issues with the fact that we don't have really housing or anything for a lot of guys that want to come down. Manchester, I contact with Finnerty and Ginn, and Ginn's been great. We've got a couple players that are going to be training at that level and then coming and playing with us. So, Fife, again, that's where our goalie Ben, he's going to be training with Fife weekly, and Alldale's going to be training with Manchester weekly. These guys are going to be training at the highest level of the country. And so there's no way that I don't have the confidence in them to come down and make that step for us, even though they've had limited opportunities at our level. But I honestly feel like the way that they are at training and the levels that they're playing at is, I mean, it just, they get better every day, and that's the best thing. And we've only been on the ice a few times. So that's the best part about it. And, we've got a few other guys that are going to be training at that level as well. Matt Cross is with Steel Dogs. I've talked to Woody this year. We had some pretty serious battles there when I was with the Pirates, but, we battled, and, we were younger. We're a lot older now. And what our focus is, to help the kids. Ethan Mayo, Darmani James, they're going to be skating with Leeds. You've got Alex Kent, Marcus Thacker. Guys are training and skating in Hull. And that's what we're looking at. But we're also going the other way too. You got Bailey Hodgkinson, our goalie on a 2-way. He's going to be, playing out with the Aces, but he's going to be training with us. And that's what we're looking at doing, putting another couple guys on 2-ways with them and getting them that extra ice time that might push them to that next level. We've got a couple younger guys that we've signed. I can't say who just yet. I've got another, we've got another defenseman that we've signed here that's that we're going to have a relationship with Kirkcaldy with again, because he's going to be up there. But like I said, there's a lot of movement, and yes, it's a lot of work. And I think that's a lot why this approach hasn't been taken, is because it is going to be a lot of work, particularly on myself, to make sure that we're communicating with all these teams, all these players, how are we going to get these players to the next level, what they need, what they need from my end, but also, okay, hey, Aldridge, what do you think? What does Darmani need to do to make it to that next level? What should I be working on with when he's there? Because I can see from our level, he's all right here, he's all right there, but you might be seeing something different. And doing that with all those guys, but the ice time is going to be valuable for them. And then with the guys that we have that aren't particularly going to be doing that, who may not want to do that, right? But they want to be with us in Blackburn. Those guys are going to be playing with the guys that are at that level at the moment, right? But then also, pushing themselves at our level, because that's ultimately what we're going to try and do. A lot of the training sessions are going to be, a lot faster, a lot harder. And like I said, that's just what we're trying to accomplish right now at the moment. I haven't even looked at systems and games at the moment in time. You don't want to bombard them. You just want them to be able to go out and play. And that's the unfortunate part, where we approached tons of teams to play preseason games, but nobody wanted to play. And that's when you can kind of get into your systems and do that. You let them go out and play. But unfortunately, our month of September is almost to be like a preseason, right? So you need to see them play. Then you need to put in systems, because you don't know where everybody is in game level. So, but that's something that doesn't even worry me, because I know that the effort that the guys are putting in, the speed and everything that they're going to put in, I think that we're still going to compete, even if we don't have that right off the bat.
It sounds like you're creating, like before your systems, you're creating more of an environment and an ethos and a mentality, which is really refreshing. And I know that it's something that Graham and Call have wanted to have in the club. So it looks like it's going to really work out.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing is we want to create. You nailed it with the atmosphere and the ethos, professional ethos from the top on down. And when you see Graham and Kyle out there, at the training sessions on a Thursday night, and running around getting guys sticks and putting tape out on the table and this and that. Those are the owners. They don't need to be doing that stuff, but they want to. They want the guys to have a good experience, and that's what something that I said. Look, no matter what, win, lose, or draw, if these guys are putting the effort, that can't change. That's what's going to help these guys get. That's what's going to help these guys want to do more for you. Yeah. Right. So it does more for them too. So, again, everything that we're trying to build in Blackburn, we want to turn it around. I mean, the history of winning in Blackburn was there, right? And my wife and I and our kid, we were out for the golf day, and we had a training session, and then I took Sarah to the rink, and my child, and we skated and stuff, and she's like, look at all the banners and stuff. I'm like, yeah, they won some stuff. They want to get back to the winning ways, but they're also open to know that it's not going to happen overnight. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And this is the thing, I feel like, and I'll be dead honest, between the management, Graham, Carl, Ollie, myself, the relationships that we've made with National League teams, NIHL2 teams, Elite League teams has already been a success. It's been massive. It's been absolutely massive what we've been able to accomplish in the last few months. And that's credit to everyone, not just one person. It's a team effort, and that's what we're trying to do. And if the guys can see what we're doing as a team up from the management end of things and putting in all that effort, there's no way that they're not going to give us everything they've got. There's no way. And if they don't, then we know that they're just not right for Blackburn, and that's okay. They can go play elsewhere if they want to, if they don't fit that mold. But that's what we want. We want guys who are serious about development, who are serious about effort. But if they give everything they have every night, then they're going to learn. They're going to get better. They're going to have to. And I'm big on making mistakes, and I don't really see you make the same mistake 5-6 times in a row. Okay, get it. But I don't see a mistake as a bad thing. I see a mistake as a learning tool. So that's what we're really trying to push with these guys, because again, a lot of these guys have not played at this level yet, but I have a feeling once they get into it, they're going to start to be a lot more comfortable after a few games. So they've showed they were a bit uncomfortable during the trials. They were a bit uncomfortable during a few of my first training sessions, but they're starting to feel more comfortable, and you can just see it on the ice. You can really see it.
Which of our returning players from last season have really stood out to you?
Every one of them, to be honest with you. I can't say that anybody stood out any more than others. But it took me a few training sessions. We've only had 2 official ones, but during the trials, we've had a couple skates and stuff. Really, I think there's only 4 or 5. I've had to manage to try and get everybody's faces and names together. But I've got to say that the effort that these guys have put in during the off season in the summer, the shape that these guys are in is phenomenal. And so I've got to applaud them for that. And, like I said, it's one of those things where I think that they're all pulling together as a team. So the team is really standing out to me at the moment. I don't think that there's anybody in particular that, I'd say, wow, he's miles above the rest, but we're not typically looking for a guy like that. You know what I mean? I mean, even our import, he's a younger guy. He wants to make it to the next level. He's not a guy that's going to, hang out at the red line or the blue line and go, push for points and stuff. He's going to be defensive minded, and, he's going to skate. I'm not going to say he's a heck of a skater. And he's even at that point. When I saw him skate in the beginning of the summer, I was just like, oh God, I got to have that guy. I started going after him immediately. And the funny thing is, we were playing rec together.
Really?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And, he wanted to get summer ice time and stuff like that. And, he was having troubles with his ITC last year. He played in North America. He was committed to Framingham State University. You don't commit to Framingham State University or any university in the States without being able to play, at least at the level that we're at here. But I think, I'm just hoping that we don't lose him to the national levels, sooner than we think. But at the same time, I kind of do. I hope he gets to that level, faster. And I hope that we can help him get there, because if we can, then maybe that opens up a door for another younger import to come through. And that's kind of where we're at with things. So when you actually see it, there were a couple guys that we wanted to go after that, were committed and they left for personal reasons, and that's okay again, but you just don't know what the reasons are, but we respect them. And the door's always open for a lot of those guys to come back if that's what they feel they want to do. So.
I completely get that. Now, our league is a very competitive league. Anyone is capable of beating anyone on any day. I think that's a fair comment to say. And adding to that, we've got the returning D-side Dragons. Which of the teams are you looking forward to playing against?
Really, to be honest with you, I'm not. I'm just ready to get on the ice and get games going. I've watched a lot of highlights through, and I've seen Solway play, and I've seen Whitley play, and I feel that they're still going to be top teams in the league, because they've got the guys that have been there forever. They've been playing the team for a long time, and they're good, talented players. But at the same time, I still feel that we can turn them. I still feel that other teams can turn them, which is a good thing. But particularly, like I said, I'm happy playing anybody, and we're going to compete the same way we compete against, one team than we are the next night. It's got to stay consistent. Yeah, we need to control our emotions against certain teams. You look at D-side, they're right down the road. So that's going to be a good rivalry. Widnes is right down the road, so that's going to be a good rivalry. So, I'm always up for a good rivalry. So I guess you could say I'm a little bit more excited to play those types of teams. That Blackburn's going to be a little bit more excited about playing. Not saying that they're not excited about the other teams, but it's going to be fun to create those battles and those rivalries and stuff like that. And that's the best thing about it. And like I said, they've D-side's got a few guys that we had last year, and they're going to be playing against their buddies, and they're not going to want to lose.
Pride is at stake.
Yeah, exactly, and it is, and that's one of the things. Let's face it, none of the guys in this league are getting paid enough to make a living. It's something that they do. So a lot of it is for pride. A lot of it is for the competition and wanting to play at that higher level. And that's what I feel like a lot of our guys will learn very quickly. And, but like I said, I'm really looking forward to playing D-side, really looking forward to playing Widnes. And I feel like it's going to be a really, really good competitive league this year. I really do.
Yeah, I agree. Now, our first game of the season is Saturday, the 10th of September. It's always a tough one away to Sheffield. Mm-hmm. They were a massive bogey team for us last season. How are you going to approach that game?
It's tough to approach a team that hasn't really announced any players or anything like that. Looking at it, I don't think they have many players announced. Unless I have missed something for the last few days. I'll take a look on the old elite prospects here while I'm on. I've got my phone next to me, so they don't have anybody announced. So we don't know what it's going to be like. Which is why we just need to go in there and just make sure that we're ready and we're focused on what we need to do as our team. But that's what we need to do. I'm not the type of coach that's going to ask players to go out and play a different game every night because we're playing a different team. I want us to go out and play the same game every night and make every other team play our game.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like a lot of coaches will say, oh, they play this way. We need to do this. We need to do that. Now, just play the simple hockey game. Play within the system, back check hard, crash the net, battle in front, make the smart plays. Don't throw pucks away. Don't turn pucks over at the blue line. Those are the things that you need to focus on, but they're not secrets. It's the simple way of playing the game. And if we play that game simply, then we're going to be fine. And we play it hard and give the effort, then I feel like we'll come out on top.
Some things that stood out to me last season is we lacked depth defensively, but I think you've already covered that, to be fair. But the other one is we seem to lack when it came to secondary scoring. We used to have our top two lines scoring, but then after that, we didn't seem to have much contribution to goals. Is that something you've improved on in the off season?
Yeah, we've got what we're going to do is we're spreading the talent, right? We want to play more lines. We want to get guys out on the ice. We want guys fresh because a lot of these teams do play that 1-2 line system, and that's okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. I understand that. But I want our guys to get the ice time, and I want our guys to be fresh because it'll give our guys who everybody's got a role. There's no secrets about that in hockey. If you're a goal scorer, you're going to score goals. If you're a passer, you're going to pass. If you're a guy who needs to go out there and play a good, solid game and not get scored on, that's your role, then don't get scored on. That's just what you need to do. I think we need to spread it more. You're right. And the only way to spread that, though, is to play. Make sure that the guys are playing at the best level they can. Will there be guys that are expected to produce? Yes, there will be. Produce more than others is what I say. Yes, there will be, because that's what their main role is going to be. But also, we're going to hold them accountable to defensive zone as well. We got a couple of great young goalies back there that will be able to bail us out in situations, but we don't want to have to rely on them all year long. What we want to do is play a good, solid two-way game and make sure that everybody's chipping in where they can. So I'm not the one who's going to put the pressure on guys. And like I said, I'm just hoping that we can spread the scoring out and that type of thing out through the year. And the other thing is, to me, one of my biggest pet peeves is points. Is I want points. I want points. I can honestly tell you right now, I'm probably not allowed to swear, and I definitely won't. But I don't give a flying crap about points. I just care about what the result is and what the effort is throughout the night. That's what I care about. Are we learning from the mistakes? Is the effort there? What's the turnout? And to be fair, if we give everything we have and we do everything that we could have done and we get beat, then we get beat. That's just life. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. We're going to lose hockey games. That's all there is to it. And I've been in games where you do everything you possibly can right. You completely outplay hockey teams and you lose by 3 or 4 goals just because the night's not going your way. So, like I said, that's just kind of where we're at with everything.
Fair enough. We've seen you recently on the golf course at the annual Blackburn Hawks Golf Day. Big shout out to Ollie and Aaron for organising that. How was that day for you?
I had an absolute blast. It was just great. I couldn't the golf day. They build it up, but then you actually get there and it's like, whoa! Like this is just the best. To be able to play in an outing like that, I don't get to play in many of them, but it was just, we had so much fun. It was so well organized. Everybody had such a great time. And I have to say that if you're interested in golf and you like the Blackburn Hawks, you've got to do it next year because it is just it was just so much fun.
Moving away from the Hawks for a second, I always like to ask our guests what other hockey teams they follow or different leagues and sports around the world. Now, with you being from Dearborn, Michigan, I've got a pretty good idea which NHL team you support.
Well, yeah, it's hands down Detroit. We've been going through a bit of a rough patch here, but we got our captain back. Yzerman's going to take us back to the playoffs and eventually bring us back to a championship-winning team. The history there and everything like that too. Being a hockey player, being involved in Detroit and watching them and growing up with them, especially an original 6 team, where hockey all started. I can't tell you how much I love them. So, but that's like all of our sports, Lions, Tigers. I'm not really much into basketball, so I'm not really in it, but I will watch the Pistons if they are winning. But we've struggled the last couple of years in Detroit with sports, and in our community, our fans, our family, our friends, we all live and die with the Red Wings, the Lions, the Tigers, especially. So that's who I support.
We mentioned it there. You're from Dearborn, Michigan, and you've played at various levels in the US.
Yep.
I think on Elite Prospects, I saw you'd played in the ECHL,
yep,
which is a very good standard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I played with the Toledo Walleye. Had a stint there with the Florida Everblades too as well. Playing with Toledo was really special. It was only 40 minutes from my house. And as well as, it was a brand new rink. I mean, it was absolutely beautiful, this place. If you go onto their website, if you go onto the rink, it's just kind of blows your mind. But the other thing too that was really cool is they were affiliated with the Detroit Red Wings. They're their third team.
Wow.
So yeah, it was really, really cool. When I played for them, one of the best moments of my hockey career was I got to go to the Grand Rapids Griffins camp, who's their AHL, who's their second league team.
Yeah.
When I did get to do the Grand Rapids camp, usually they used to hold it, I believe it was in Traverse City or Grand Rapids. I can't remember, but this particular year, I don't remember if they used to do it or not, but they held it in Detroit at Joe Louis Arena.
Wow.
And they combined it with a lot of the Red Wings, a lot of the younger prospects, the Red Wing prospects. And it was amazing because, you're there trying out for, the Grand Rapids Griffins, but you walk into the rink and all of a sudden there's a Red Wing jersey in your stall, red helmets, red pants, red gloves, all that kind of stuff. And you just look at it and you're like, oh, well, this is just the best ever. So, you put your gear on, and I went with a couple of my buddies that we were already signed with Toledo, and there were quite a few Michigan guys that we have. Brandon Naranjo, who's coaching Michigan now. He's the head of player. I'm sure he's the head of player development for the Detroit Red Wings. Mark, I believe it was Mark Nevis was there. Some guys that I played with back in the day, Stephen Alexia. I'm sure they were all there, and we all just kind of walked in the room, and you're just like, what is going on here? And then you end up in a meeting with Ken Holland, and they say, well, we don't, you're not going to make the team this year, so try not, just go out there, have fun, skate hard. You're not going to make the Detroit Red Wings here. We've got to, because they were championship teams back then anyway. You know what I mean? You're not going to beat those guys out. And you're talking about guys like Datsuk out there, McCarty, Draper, Maltby, all the guys who've, won it, Chris Osgood, at the time with Grand Rapids was Jimmy Howard. So, shooting against him, it was just, it was the most amazing feeling. So when he got there, I was like, I got to be the first guy. And I just want to go out and skate on this ice with a Wings jersey on. And what, to my surprise, what was great is I got out there, and my brother and sister both worked down in Detroit. My brother is a Detroit sergeant detective. My sister works for one of the top law firms down there. And they were standing down by the Zamboni door entrance. And we just kind of looked at each other. We're just like, what is going on? So that was probably the most special moment I would say my career, when it came to it. I have to say that.
Definitely an amazing moment to have, especially with being a fan as well.
Yeah. And the camp went good. I mean, it was great skates and stuff like that. And the season was with Toledo. It was a blast. There's no better place to play than Toledo Walleye when you're playing in the East Coast League. I have to say, it's just absolutely unbelievable. So it's like a mini Detroit. So it's only 40 minutes from there too, as well.
So tell us how you came to play over here in the UK.
Well, I wasn't the most skilled player around. I was more of a grinder, kind of a, do things right, play the game smart. And towards I would say, I think I was about 28 years old, and it was my last year in Toledo. I'd gone through back surgery in my career. I went through a pretty tough shoulder surgery, and my body was starting to fall apart. And in the East Coast, you play four games a week.
Yeah, it's quite intense, isn't it?
Yeah, you play 82 regular season games and then playoffs, and it's really, really tough. I had a buddy named Jeremy Tendler. The UK hockey world would know him very well. He's I would say probably the most prolific goal scorer in England that ever played. The guy could just score at will. He'd shoot the puck and it would just go in the net. But he's incredibly talented with a shot. And him and I always, his now who's his wife, was from Dearborn. And him and I met through hockey way, way earlier, before we started our professional careers, before I think we even went to university, by working at hockey school together. And we used to always come home in the summer. When we were in Detroit, we'd always skate and train together at our rink in Dearborn, because they were all so supportive at the rink. They used to give us free ice time, to the guys who were playing like that, when there was dead ice.
Yeah.
And so we had a bunch of pro guys that were out there, a guy named John Vigilante, Mike Vigilante, some guys that we always used to skate with. And I was kind of coming down to the end of it. And, I just didn't feel that my body was going to be able to handle another 82 game season. And when I looked at it, I was kind of like, I didn't really know what to do from there.
Okay.
I didn't really plan on playing, to be fair. I think I was looking at wanting to get into coaching, and I was like, oh, you know what? I think I'll try my hand at coaching. I worked for, between my actual seasons, I used to work down in Virginia Beach. I used to have my own hockey schools and private lessons and stuff. And it was with the Hampton Roads Junior Whalers, and they were really supportive of me. It's like an unbelievable family down there. The owner of the rink that I did lessons at now owns Norfolk Admirals in the East Coast League. Him and I even had a conversation of myself looking at taking over down there with the junior program and everything. But when we came down to it, the best thing about that guy, he was so supportive of hockey players, and he just cared so much about everyone. And when we sat down and talked about it, he pretty much came to the conclusion. He's like, Dom, he's like, you're not done playing yet. He's like, you love the game too much. I don't feel you're done. And that was kind of the conclusion both him and I came to. And I was like, yeah, but where do I go? What do I do? And because I just didn't know if I could play another 82 games. So I'll be honest, I was at the bar one night with Jeremy Tendler, where we just went out, we were talking about it. And I think the conversation came up. We were having a few beers as you do during the off season. And he's like, well, you should come to England. You should play in Hull. He's like, it's great there. You don't play as many games. You play on the weekend and this and that. And he's like, we got a great group of guys. And, he said some rinks are like old school. Some rinks are like, Toledo. And he said, but you should come give it a shot. And we got to talking throughout the night. And I think we FaceTimed. I don't know if FaceTime was on or Skyped at that moment. Sylvain Cloutier right there at the bar.
Wow.
and I think Klutz expected it too, because Jeremy and I were out. Yeah. And he knew what the time was and stuff like that. And we started talking over Skype. And then I think I from what I can recall, Klutz looked at my elite prospects, and right then and there we were kind of like, yeah, I think that this could work. So my agent at the time, we got him in touch with Klutz and stuff, and then we ended up signing just a couple of days later. So that's what got me over to Hull, and then it just went from there. So I would say Jeremy Tendler is what got me over to England.
So away from the hockey, what do you do in your spare time?
Golf. Yeah. No, family time is big with me. We Sarah and I met late. Obviously I was a bit older when we met, and coming over here I think I was here for a couple of years before I even met her, and so I think I was about 30. Oh God, I can't even remember now, guys. It's long. About 30 years old I think we met. But and the thing is too, as well as where we've come, we've only been married 8 years. It was our anniversary just a couple of days ago. And, from where we've come, just meeting, 10, 11 years ago, starting a family, and we have our daughter and Isla and everything like that. That's what I like to do a lot. And what we do, what we love to do is just spend time as a family together. And it doesn't matter what we're doing or where we're going. They're going to be there a lot with me this year. That's one thing that we did discuss. And the times of the games, it allows us to, and, the traveling isn't too bad. And, they've already spent a night out in Blackburn, a couple of nights out in Blackburn with me. And it's just been amazing. But that's what I like to do. I like to golf. And I like to play Call of Duty. So, yeah, 40-year-old man playing video games with a bunch of other 40-year-old men. So, yeah, no, those are things I like to do. I would say I like to read, but that just wouldn't be true. So, but lately it has been more golf and just concentrating on Blackburn. Family golf and concentrating on Blackburn in my spare time.
Nothing wrong with a bit of gaming. I frequently take the Pittsburgh Penguins to Stanley Cup glory on NHL, and also I get Blackburn Rovers into the Champions League.
Yeah, NHL. I used to play that quite a bit too as well. No, I take one night, and I have a couple hours where I just spend it on with a couple of buddies of ours, and Sarah's still there. She'll watch the iPad and stuff like that, but she listens to us, and I don't know if she's even sick of us or laughing at us, but so those are the things I like to do. Very simple. I like a very simple life. So
nothing wrong with that. Now, up next, we've got some questions for you submitted by some of the Hawks fans. This first one is from Aaron Cotton. He asks, what do you love about hockey?
What do I love about hockey? God. The smells, the sounds, the sights, the game, the fact that it's probably the toughest game you'll play. It's the hardest game you can play. It's the hardest trophies you can win, especially when you get to those the 7-game series. The passion, I can't even pinpoint what I love about hockey. But it is, I was born with it. I have no idea what it is, but since I was 3 years old, I was on skates. So that's what I love about it.
I was going to say you were probably born with it.
Yeah. So everything, absolutely everything.
The next question is from Sophie Thomas. She asks, what are you looking forward to the most about being at Blackburn?
What am I looking forward to the most about being in Blackburn? I think watching the organization grow and being a part of the organization. However long I'm here, as long as we take steps forward, that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm not, like I said, it's one of those things where winning is great. I want to win. Trust me, more than anybody else. You'll know that people very, very quickly understand that I'm probably one of the most competitive people you'll ever meet. But it's it's the growing is what it is. And the steps taken towards Blackburn. I'm just looking forward to being a part of it. Something special.
This next question is from Kate Jackson. The team were heavily defeated on the road on a consistent basis last season. What steps are the team taking to overcome that? To be fair, I think you've covered it earlier and mentioned the work rate and things like that.
Yeah, it's the effort and everything put into as well. And no doubt sometimes you lose big and it happens. But I have to say that, our defensive core and goaltending is, I feel that's one step that we've made that I think people are going to be very impressed with. Like I said, they're very young guys, but they're going to be very fast and in shape. That's one of the biggest things that I've noticed. I feel like the guys are in so much better shape than we were last year. And that's one of the things that we need to make sure that we keep pushing next year. I don't want to take anything away from players last year. It's not my style. It's not what I want to do. But our goal was to build from the back out. And I think that's exactly what we've managed to do.
Brilliant. One final question here from the fans. This one is from Tom McDonnell. What do you think about the bigger ice pad? I
can't believe how big it is. I played on Olympic ice. I swear that ice it's much bigger. There was a time during the summer where I was like, okay, well, maybe I might play, or maybe because we have a spare import spot and it's not. But then when we looked at how young we were going and the development route, it's how my biggest question to players who want to develop is how can you develop with a player coach who can't physically give you all the attention that he can? That's one of my biggest things to younger players. That's what what I'm looking at there. If you have a player coach, I don't feel you're going to progress like you will with a regular coach because you're huffing and puffing and stuff like that. The big ice pad is something that immediately changed my mind about wanting to come back and play. Not one. It could be one of the direct reasons why I decided I didn't want to play. No,
I could completely understand that.
Yeah, and like I said, it's massive, and I think that that could be a reason why we play a bit differently away, and we might not be used to the little smaller ice pads and things like that. So
awesome, good answer. One final question then before we let you go, Dom. What are your aims for the upcoming season?
Improvement, steps forward and improvement. That's my aims. That's my goals as the head coach, and that's what our team needs to realize. I noticed where we finished last year. Everybody knows where we finished last year. If we can get a couple more games, turn the other way, that's what we're looking to do. I'm not saying that our aims and our goals aren't to win hockey games, bring cups back to Blackburn. I'm not saying I don't believe it can't happen, because I completely have confidence in these guys and feel like that they can do it. They can really upset some teams. I still feel we may be looked at as an underdog, and I that's okay. But only time will tell. I mean, nobody really knows what anybody's going to look like until we get out there. But the goals, aspirations, the aims is to improve on last season. That's it. Simple as that. I do want to add something. If we can get one or two of our guys to the next level, that's also an aim. That's also a goal, an aspiration, an aim. Because if we can do that, then people will know we're very serious about developing players and letting them go play at the next level, which will bring in the next group of younger talent.
Definitely. I think as well, with some of the teams considering us as an underdog, if you will, it kind of takes some of the pressure off us, and some of the teams may come in overconfident and we can turn them over. So I kind of see it as a bit of an advantage, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's okay. Like I said before, I don't know what people are going to rate us at. Personally, I really don't care. I know where we are. We need to just stick together as a team, not listen to what anybody else says, and just focus on what we're doing. And if we can do that, then everything else, to me, is just white noise.
Definitely. Looking forward to it. So all that's left for me to say is welcome to the club, Dom. I'm really excited to have you on board.
Thank you. And I really appreciate the interview here too as well.
No, thanks for taking the time to come on the show. We'll certainly have you back on later in the season. So we'll leave you to it. Enjoy your weekend and I'll see you soon.
Excellent. Sounds great.
Hawks Talk.
Thanks again to Dom for taking the time to come on to the Hawks Talk podcast. Some very exciting times coming for the organisation. I think you'll agree. If you haven't done already, make sure you check out the Blackburn Hawks merchandise. The brand new range is online now, available on the Hawks store. There's everything from t-shirts, hoodies, accessories and jerseys. Speaking of jerseys, there are still a lot of player jerseys available for you to sponsor. All the information is over on the Blackburn Hawks website and the Hawks store. And that is all we have time for. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Hawks Talk podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on whichever platform you're listening to us on. We want to get you, the Hawks fans, involved as much as possible with the podcast. So if there's any players or guests you'd like us to have on, or any questions you want us to ask, just send me an email, hawkstalk@blackburnhawks.com. I'll be back on the next episode. Until then, see you later.
Hawks Talk.